Hello and welcome to day 21 of 31 of our series that I'm doing on this channel where I'm recording a reading every day for the month of December 2025. But of course, whenever you come across the reading, I trust that there's a timeless message for you. Apologies for my sore throat, but I feel good, so we're going to continue on with the series. And as always, we'll start with our oracle and astrology card as the overarching themes, and then we'll dive into the tarot. So, as always, this series is to recalibrate our energy and get us aligned with our highest timeline. So feel free to set any intention that you feel so called to set here. Okay, our oracle card is anticipation. Wow, this is very exciting. It says, something wonderful is happening. Change is in the air. Open yourself to blessings on their way. And then we have the Saturn card. And I'm really appreciating the duality between the anticipation of feeling like something is about to change, feeling like something is right around the corner, as well as Saturn, because the Saturn energy often speaks to things that take time. It even can symbolize delays or limitations or challenges. But Saturn is also related to father time and things that, obviously Saturn can speak to death and things like that, but also things that take a lot of time to become established, but then provide long-term benefits or rewards. So I'm definitely picking up on this energy of patience with the Saturn card. And maybe you have found yourself, I'm definitely feeling a twin flame message coming through, but I'll get to that in a second. Maybe you've been feeling impatient as you're anticipating changes to start showing themselves to you in the physical realm. You've done a lot of inner work. If you're listening to this message, I know that you are part of this collective, and you have worked so hard on yourself, on your self-development journey, and you are a very transformative person. And so oftentimes when we put so much inner work in and so much effort, we anticipate seeing the benefits and being able to reap the benefits of that work in the physical. And with Saturn here, we are being reminded to have patience and to understand that, long-term sustainable rewards require time and sometimes long-term effort. But we're also being gifted this message from Saturn of knowing that all of the work you're doing, it is such a strong foundation. It's built on integrity, on self-worth, self-respect, and it's in alignment with your long-term vision. So as you continue to anchor down that energy of patience, as you anticipate, what's to come, the Saturn card is reminding us that we can trust that what's forming is going to be truly powerful, and it's an embodiment of the maturity and the boundaries that you've held up to this point. And so with the twin flames, I'm definitely picking up on if you are a twin flame or on the twin flame journey, but even if you're not, this message may be for you. You likely have experienced a lot of anticipation in a dysregulating way to your nervous system throughout the course of your relationship with this person. And it very well may have consisted of a lot of on and off cycles of separation and union. And so anticipation may be a feeling to you that actually feels unsafe. And with Saturn here, this is a potential challenge for you, but it's also one that you will thrive to succeed in if you're able to anchor in those the wisdom and the maturity that Saturn brings. You know, like when you approach a relationship, whether it's your twin flame, a reunion of somebody from your past, or even just a fresh relationship, when you show up to that love and that relationship with Saturn energy, you're bringing wisdom, and you're not allowing yourself to be swayed by like fantasies, right? Like you're more grounded in that Saturn energy. And that is a responsibility that is not to be taken lightly. Of course, Saturn is a very serious energy, but it also represents the maturity of discipline and long coming benefits and rewards resulting from, you know, your commitment to this responsibility and this commitment to seeking and embodying as much wisdom as you can on this journey. So let's pull some tarot cards here. We have the Queen of Swords, the Ace of Cups. Yeah, okay. The Queen of Swords is very much in line with Saturn energy. The Queen of Swords is all about boundaries, wisdom, knowing oneself, and on a mental level. The Queen of Swords can also represent the air signs, and especially Aquarius, which is ruled by Saturn. And so this is about, like, as you're anticipating this huge, pivotal breakthrough that you are undergoing, and we've talked about this on previous readings, like you're on the brink of a huge transformation, like your life will never be the same, I'm hearing. As you're on the brink of that and you're anticipating, like, again, physical changes, like changes that you can tangibly experience in your physical reality, because you feel the changes. You've done the inner work on an emotional and soul, spiritual level. You feel different. You know that you've changed. You're just kind of waiting and anticipating for proof of that in your external world. With the Queen of Swords, you're doing so, you're anticipating in this kind of grounded embodiment. Like, there's just so much self-respect, knowing when to wait, knowing when to speak up and take action. Like, it's such a card of mental clarity, that wisdom, that maturity that Saturn brings. You know, this is the embodiment that is never going to abandon their standards ever again. And this may be one of the huge transformations and pivotal shifts that you're undergoing. It's the showing up with such a mental clarity that you have full discernment, sustainable discernment as well. Like, it's sustainable through periods of emotional turmoil or difficulty, right? Because with Saturn and the Queen of Swords, it's like we are anchored in this wisdom and maturity. And then with the Ace of Cups coming through, I mean, this is like you have the Queen of Swords foundation to then experience this Ace of Cups new beginning, a new emotional beginning, perhaps new love, or just simply your heart opening to feeling more compassion. And again, in a tangible way that you can experience. It doesn't have to be a, tangible connection or relationship necessarily. It could just be a way that you are showing up and feeling in a sustainable, consistent way. Kind of like this emotional renewal. So, of course, we're getting confirmation from my cat, but if you are finding yourself anticipating to a point of dysregulation or stress, and specifically anticipating a new relationship or anticipating a reunion or anticipating somebody reaching out to you, you're being called to anchor back down through that Queen of Swords energy. And you may need to kind of like, I'm hearing like forget about the tangible external experiences if you're finding that your foundation is wobbly. So what I mean by that is, if you are manifesting a relationship, love, a new emotional, romantic, healthy love or connection, and if you are trying to manifest a connection like that, but you find yourself anticipating and feeling anxious or unsafe or like dysregulated, then you're being called to really prioritize the energy of the Queen of Swords, because she is the divine feminine that has the standards and the boundaries that you need to anchor back down into your sense of self-worth, your sense of self-respect, that maturity, that wisdom, again, that we need to sustain these healthy connections, as well as to attract them in the first place, but especially to sustain them. We need that energy. And so if that's the case for you, Spirit is saying that when we interpret the Ace of Cups card here, for you, we want to interpret this as a new emotional beginning, like a new renewal, a new heart opening, a new way of showing up with an open heart and full compassion and like loving kindness for the world and for your sense of self. Mostly, more importantly, for your sense of self first, and then outwardly towards the world and loved ones, right? But never externally without internally, right? Like never at the sake of your internal self-compassion and self-love, or never without a full cup of your internal self-compassion and self-love. But this is the message that you are being called to lean into and integrate if you are feeling anticipation that's in a dysregulated or stressful way. Now, if you are resonating with this reading, feeling like you really are anchored down in that Queen of Swords energy, then I do feel like Saturn is bringing you this Ace of Cups opportunity, because you've earned through your growth this emotional readiness that's going to allow you to magnetize that which you are manifesting. And yesterday's reading, day 20, it was one of the longest ones. It was nearly an hour. And we talk a lot about manifestation. That was the oracle card we got. So if this is resonating for you and you are manifesting and you have a really, like the manifestation mindset is really resonating for you, I definitely recommend checking out that reading, as well as any other previous readings that you may be called to tune into. But definitely what we have here is a new emotional chapter that's opening, but it's requiring anchoring into your self-worth, and it's requiring patience, real authentic intentions, and not just anticipation for the sake of having a false sense of regulation or our ego soothed, right? Like not just rushing into things, but doing so with intention and alignment. So we also have the Lovers and the Ten of Wands. So the Lovers, this is all about making a choice, right? So I'm picking up on a really specific piece of advice, which is that when you find yourself feeling stressed because of this a sense of anticipation, if you find yourself feeling stressed, I should say, because I am kind of picking up on two splits of the collective, and so I really want to address those who may be feeling anticipation in a stressful way or a dysregulated way. I want to touch on this for the collective that needs to hear this. The Lovers is going to be about you choosing in these moments whether you're going to like be a victim of your dysregulation or take an empowered stance and step forward with that Queen of Swords energy. The Lovers is about, of course, lovers, but it's more importantly about making a decision, whether it's about a relationship. You may be at like some kind of crossroads where you're being asked to, or tested to stand up for your standards and boundaries. But this card is about making a choice that can very well lead to union, but that is rooted in your truth on an emotional level, on regarding your values, and making a choice that is aligned with your soul and your values, and that is going to nurture your emotions going forward, of course, right? Like, there's no self-sacrifice or sacrificing our own sense of well-being, sense of self-love, sense of self-respect, sacrificing our boundaries for the sake of a choice or a relationship, right? Like, that's the opposite of the Queen of Swords energy. So with this Lover's card paired with the Ten of Wands, I'm getting that you may be faced to make a difficult choice. I'm also picking up on another specific scenario where, because the Ten of Wands talks about feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, overburdened, feeling like you're carrying too much or you're doing too much. And I mean, this is also kind of like that Saturn challenging energy. But with the Ten of Wands and the Lovers, I'm picking up on a specific scenario where you are being asked to make a difficult decision. Like, it's a test where you need to stand up for your boundaries, even when you feel like completely emotionally exhausted and like tempted to give up, right? Like tempted to back down from your standards and boundaries. And with the Ten of Wands and Lovers together, I'm picking up on you needing to make a choice of choosing yourself, right? Again, your own sense of self-worth, self-respect. Really lean into the Queen of Swords energy. I'm even getting like, if you're in a moment of like making a difficult decision, you can like Google the Queen of Swords and like read up on it, and to kind of help you step into her shoes and allow that to guide you, because this is the Spirit is saying that this is the embodiment that you are being called to really integrate and anchor down, so that you can always tap into her essence when you need to stand up for yourself. And so again, with the Ten of Wands and the Lovers, this is like potentially needing to, you may even need to be saying no to a certain connection. And you might be thinking, well, with the Ace of Cups, like that doesn't make sense. Like, I'm supposed to be having a new beginning, but you may be tested. And especially if you're allowing anticipation to get the best of you and allow you to feel impatient, then you're especially going to be tested, and you may need to say no when you thought you had a green light, you thought you had that Ace of Cups new beginning. You may need to say no and make that difficult decision, make that difficult choice, so that following that, what's actually going to happen is you're going to fall into even greater alignment with the real Ace of Cups opportunity that's going to come forward to you in divine timing. But ultimately, regardless of your scenario, whether it's with an external relationship or with your own internal world, you do have this Ace of Cups new beginning. And even without an external manifestation of the Ace of Cups, the inner renewal that comes with this card is something beautiful and magical to anticipate. And we want to be careful not to anticipate too much on the external outcomes, because that's when our ego can kind of set expectations and spiral into them. And so that's what's coming through with the Ten of Wands here. So Saturn here is encouraging and asking you to release anything that's weighing you down, right? With the Ten of Wands, like, it may feel like a difficult decision, and you may feel like you want to self-sacrifice or make an exception for your boundaries. And Saturn is saying that is not the part to give up on. What you need to do is to, potentially release the person or release the situation that's making you feel like you need to self-sacrifice, but not to release your boundaries or let them down. And this may require you to take space and take time, right? Even with the anticipation, which can make us feel impatient, Saturn is reminding us of the value of separation, the value of time alone, time to ourself, time to reflect. And yeah, with the Saturn and anticipation cards together, again, I'm just really appreciating the duality of this, because ultimately in life, we want to have things to look forward to. We want to feel like good things are coming. And as we speak a lot about this on this channel, the magic and alchemy of being able to feel good within without having those external circumstances or outcomes that we desire. And Saturn is exactly that wisdom and maturity that gets us to that place of feeling like we can anticipate change, but the most rewarding anticipations are those that are of our inner world. Knowing that we are making positive transformational changes, that alone, that is the most healthy thing you can anticipate, versus trying to anticipate your manifestations in the sense of your external outcomes or things in your reality, and you're kind of like waiting for them and you're hoping for them. And then that's a slippery slope into your ego spiraling into not being satisfied until it receives these external outcomes. And that's actually the opposite of manifestational energy, because we want to feel good before we get the thing that's going to make us feel good, right? And so with Saturn, like your inner Saturn knows this. Like you are wise enough to know that you shouldn't have to wait for a relationship to feel fulfilled and happy and whole. And of course, wanting companionship is a very natural and normal and reasonable desire to have. But especially for the collective that has a history of the twin flame journey, or any type of history involving like anxious attachments, or feeling like nervous system dysregulation, or feeling unsafe or unsupported in relationships, you're being called here to take a pause and reflect on what it is that you anticipate. Like what makes you feel anticipation, and what does anticipation feel like for you? Does it feel positive or does it feel negative, right? Like Saturn is exactly that wisdom that allows you to get to that place of self-awareness and knowing yourself well. And so we also have the Four of Pentacles here, which I find to be so fitting, because this is about holding on to things, right? So again, I'm really picking up, these cards today were very specific scenarios, so I hope this is resonating for you. I trust that it's going to find the collective that needs it. The Four of Pentacles, and this could be you in the present, but this could be speaking more to your past, depending on where you're at in your journey. But the Four of Pentacles is about holding on too tight to something. So again, like if you have a history of feeling attached in an unhealthy way to your relationship, or relying on that relationship for external validation, just like feeling like you're holding on too tight and you're scared to like lose this connection. Maybe you even sought control in ways that were not healthy and that were driven by your ego. And we talked earlier about like self-sacrifice, like you may have fallen into overgiving or people-pleasing tendencies, or, sacrificing yourself, your needs, your boundaries for the sake of the relationship. And so, of course, that's calling us back to the Queen of Swords embodiment that you're being called to step into. But, at its core, the Four of Pentacles, it's the Earth sign, and it's the number 4. And the number 4 is the number of stability, security. So at its core, this card represents the desire for security and stability. And when taken too far, the shadow aspect of this card is feeling like you have to overly protect yourself, or feeling like you're stagnant because you're not able to make those aligned choices, with the Lovers. And, make those empowered choices with the Queen of Swords that are going to stand up for your standards and boundaries. Like, this is all about releasing the lack mindset. And, Saturn, as serious and heavy as it can sometimes feel, ultimately is for your highest good, right? Like the challenges and the lessons that Saturn is bringing you, and the attachments, even like the karmic cycles I'm hearing that Saturn is testing you and asking you to release, this is all to get you to a point of sustainable stability, that those long-term rewards that we talked about before. The abundance mindset that we are seeking, not the lack mindset or scarcity mindset or mentality that we may have been embodying in the past. And so we're also getting the Six of Cups here. So this could very much be a past connection or some kind of nostalgic feeling, maybe like the comfort or familiarity of our old ways. This could be karmic ties. This could be like a twin flame of many on and off cycles from the past. But, Saturn is coming in to ask you to discern with the Queen of Swords energy between what from the past is meant to be held on to and what is meant to be released. So, and there's also a concept of your inner child here, of like nurturing your inner child with the Six of Cups. Honoring your memories for what they were, honoring all experiences of love that you were gifted with in this lifetime, but also coming in with that mature Saturn energy that's not going to allow you to repeat those karmic cycles. And so I want to finish this reading speaking a little more about the anticipation card, because I know that like a lot of the messages that came through were some of more stressful energies. But I want to read this anticipation card one more time, because this actually is a very positive card. But the messages that were coming through, because I know a lot of this collective is on the twin flame journey or has had a history of, difficult romantic relationships. And so I want to speak to that collective. But I want us to circle back to the anticipation card, because it is such a positive and beautiful card. And again, I want to reiterate, especially when it's taken internally, when you anticipate, it's okay to anticipate great things coming to you in your external world, but not in a attached way, not in a way where you're unhealthily relying on that for a feeling of validation or fulfillment, right? But when you anticipate external outcomes, or it's not really about the outcomes, as our manifestation mindset knows. It's about the feeling that the outcomes bring, right? Like that's the whole purpose of manifestation, is that we're trying to achieve a feeling. And so what I'm saying here is that the anticipation is great when it comes from a place of already inner emotional fulfillment. And that's why the Ace of Cups came through, because like whatever is not meant to come with us with the Saturn card is going to be left behind, and only that which is for your highest good will be renewed with this Ace of Cups card. And that is the healthiest place to anticipate, right? It's okay to, look forward to external situations or outcomes when you're doing so from a grounded, emotionally grounded and fulfilled standpoint and state of being. Because then you're not relying or dependent or unhealthily attached to any kind of external outcome or situation or scenario or connection, but rather you're anticipating it in a joyful way, which is part of the manifestation process. And I'm speaking a lot about manifestation. Like I said yesterday, we got the Oracle card, so I definitely recommend checking out yesterday's reading, day 20. But yeah, so anticipation is beautiful and brilliant when it's coming from an already fulfilled inner state. I want to make that clear because I know a lot of the specific messages that came through were touching on, being in states that are a little bit more, rooted in unhealthy attachments. And that may not be you right now. But I just wanted to touch on those messages because they came through really clearly to me. Like the picture was painted so clearly from these cards today. So I'm going to read this card one more time because it is really just such a beautiful, positive, joyous message. And I want us to really anchor that in, especially if you're not really resonating with the, especially if these energies that came through of more attachments, like unhealthy attachments, were maybe more your past self. And so like in your current state, you may be actually embodying this more joyous anticipation. Then I want to read this to you because this is going to resonate with where you're at currently. Something wonderful is happening. Change is in the air. Open yourself to blessings on their way. So this is just such a beautiful state to be in when you just know, you're on the brink of something amazing because you feel good, but you don't know what it is. And in previous readings, we've touched on kind of these concepts of surrender and how, of course, in the manifestation process, we're not meant to control or dictate the how or the when. And so a shortcut to surrender is to simply claim that you expect the unexpected, because then it opens you to receiving blessings in ways that your conscious mind couldn't have possibly planned for. But it still allows you to show up in an open way where you're anticipating blessings and breakthroughs and abundance of any kind. And again, I really recommend checking out yesterday's reading because we talk a lot about the manifestation mindset, and I think that that's going to really resonate with you if this is resonating here. So I'm super excited for this anticipation of what's to come that's being grounded by this, mature Saturn energy. And so I'm really loving this this duality and this journey you're on to, release what no longer serves you and to stand strong in your boundaries and really embodying that Queen of Swords mental clarity and discernment, and especially as it relates to your past relationships, your past patterns and habits. And this is what's going to allow you to have these emotional breakthroughs and new beginnings and renewals and this fresh start that we can anticipate, like we feel that it's right around the corner. And it's all coming through your aligned choices and decisions, again, with the Lover's card, that you're making these aligned choices because you have Saturn here grounding you in what's real and what's true for you. So this is what I have for you today. I hope that something resonated. As always, I would love to hear from you in the comments. If you're not already subscribed and you want to join in on this community and this series, I would love to have you, especially as we're just building this community. I really appreciate each and every one of you. So thank you again so much for tuning in, and I will see you tomorrow for day 22. Bye.